like freaking family members out by wearing shirts like this. And that is a big part of it. So we got a good tune here by The Clash. Another Clash tune, but this one written by Paul Siminon, the bass player, who didn't write too many tunes. From London Calling, called The Guns of Brixton, which is an area of London, or I think. I believe it's also the where Keith Richards went to prison for like 3 days back in 66 or 67. Which is 3 more days than I ever want to go. So he's got that. He can always make that claim. And that was back in the days, you know, like the establishment people really wanted to stamp out these crazy fucking rock and rollers. You know, the Beatles were kind of considered safe, even though they were having a lot of illicit fun and behind the scenes. But and it's not unlike what's going on now with certain groups that are being portrayed as all bad, as a big group and dangerous, you know. And see, now the establishment, you know, Keith Richards is revered, you know. It took a while, but, you know, he would be celebrated by just about every level of government person at this point. And what they're trying to do to a certain segment of society now, too, I think they missed the mark there, and they're so out of touch, they have no idea that they are out of touch. But anyway, so we got, we're doing the ukulele. Now, this is a pretty menacing tune, you know? And God, life was, look, I love having a smartphone and being on the road and being like, best pizza in, you know, Logan, Utah, when, you know, you've never been there, and you can just get a list of things and call right from your car. That's great. And Googling shit, so to speak, and Google Maps and all that jazz. But life was better before all that. And I think most people kind of would accept that and know that in their heart, you know. I mean, there's no going back, and there's a lot of good things. But I think the easy access to things is just really made things worse. I mean, look at these losers that are going on these shooting sprees and stuff. They've got, allegedly, like that kid in Texas, there's like, he's online and there's people egging him on that he's probably never met, never will, not even possibly in the same country. And that just couldn't happen before, you know? And if it could, it took a lot of effort to make happen. You know, letters and the post office and just long time. So I just think the society back when I, you know, pre-internet and smartphone, you know, when the old school Cold War was going on, there was a respect and a fear that existed that prevented shit like that from happening. And like, you didn't know nothing about people in Russia, you know, and you really felt that they were all like Ivan Drago in Rocky, you know, just these rocks of like low feeling and would just destroy you, you know, without even thinking about it. And there was just a real menace about the world that, you know, it was us against them, you know, the miracle hockey of 1980. That was a bunch of ragtag college kids against like this unfeeling 24-hour training army of hockey players, you know? And like I had to register for the draft. Kids nowadays don't have to worry about anything except like what they're gonna get on Uber Eats for fucking dinner, you know, that their parents will pay for. It's just ridiculous, and it's a shame. You know, there was just and the Clash were a group that really brought the politics in. They got a lot of shit about it, you know, like, you know, as any, you know, the politicians will always kind of poke at the entertainers because the entertainers are more popular and kind of get listened to more by large segments of the society. And but there ain't nothing that what qualifies Barack Obama to be president of the United States? Nothing. What qualifies Joe Biden? Nothing. The guy's been a senator, never held a real job, never signed the front of a check, and now look what's happening. Nothing qualifies these people. You know? The guy that was qualified, everybody ran out of there because they couldn't handle his tweets. Wah, wah. So, in the Clash, songs like Washington Bullets and The Call Up, which is about the draft, the English and English version, I guess, where you have to serve compulsory military service. I don't think they still do that. But there was just a seriousness about it. And it also allowed, at the time, that was kind of, I've never, studied English society, but I've read a lot of books about my hero, Beatles and Stones and Clash and Clapton and them. And so, I know probably a little more than probably a lot of people in the United States, just because I still interested in that and I watch BBC. I actually don't, but I watch BBC shows and stuff, and but you just some of the lingo and stuff, like a council flat and stuff like that, and knowing different areas of London and stuff, and so you kind of just pick up some of the lingo, and spelling stuff like behavior with a U at the end, the OU, behavior, or something like that. I don't know. I'm not research. I don't do any research on these. It all comes off the top of my head. So, and you got that. And the other thing is, there's just certain songs that when I go to cover them, there's just certain songs that are like the ukulele is just the obvious choice, or a guitar, electric guitar. Mostly I'm acoustic guitar, but like Guns of Brixton, it's a pretty menacing song, and but the ukulele was just the obvious choice for it, So it just made sense to go with the ukulele. So that's what we're gonna do here. We got Guns of Brixton and Paul Siminon. He allegedly could barely even play an instrument when he started, because there was a big image was a big thing. I think Malcolm McLaren, who was big with the Sex Pistols, the manager I believe, and Bernard Rhodes kind of worked with him, and then he kind of went off and started kind of managed the Clash, and it was Mick Jones and Paul Siminon, and then they were kind of just two kids who grew up in I believe what's called a council flat, in a high-rise building in the Westway part of London, I guess it's called. And Joe Strummer was actually the son of a diplomat, I believe. No major player, but just a career government official. So he grew up, went to good public schools, which in Britain are private schools. And so they recruited him, but he was kind of known in the pub rock scene, at least, people who play music would know who he was. I mean, I don't think the Stones knew who he was, but people still struggling in the clubs. So the 101ers, and if you see any of the videos, though, people talk like Joe Strummer, was kind of Woody Guthrie was his first hero, and he, flannel shirts and kind of that sort of image. And then when he kind of met Mick and Paul, people who knew him before say one day he was with us, the next day he wouldn't even acknowledge he knew us. He just, which whatever. But Joe Strummer seemed like a pretty good guy in the long run, and I think after the initial kind of revolt joining punk, I think he kind of made peace with most of his life and seemed to be a pretty even-headed, level guy. Don't get me wrong, he's a flaming liberal, but I still think that I could discuss things with him and he would listen and spend all night trying to change my mind, So Guns of Brixton. When they kick at your front door, how you gonna come? Your hands on your head or on the trigger of your gun? When the law break in, how you gonna go? Shot down on the pavement or waiting on death row. You can crush us, you can bruise us, but you'll have to answer to guns of Brixton. The guns of Brixton. The money feels good, your life you like it well, but surely a time will come, as in heaven, as in hell. You see, he feels like Ivan, born under the Brixton sun. His game is called survival. The end of the harder they come. You know it means no mercy. They caught him with a gun. No need for the Black Mariah. Goodbye to the Brixton sun. You can crush us, you can bruise us, but you have to answer to the guns of Brixton. The guns of Brixton. Look at your front door. How you gonna come? With your hands on your head or on the trigger of your gun. You can crush us, you can bruise us, even shoot us. The guns of Brixton. The guns of Brixton. The guns of Brixton. Cat issues in the other room.